Welcome to our training webinar for February 2016, Developing an Effective Marketing Plan for Book Publishers with David Waweru. This is Ramon Rocha from Media Associates International. We've heard this phrase several times in the past. Failing to plan is actually planning to fail. As publishers, we just can't rely on the book to sell by itself. We need to do diligent planning and diligent execution, monitoring and assessments, and more planning. Our speaker will discuss some helpful general principles on how to create effective marketing plans for book publishers, and then he will show us an example of a marketing plan for a specific major title. We hope you will find good insights and ideas to apply in publishing work from today's webinar. We would like our webinar to be interactive as possible, so please ask your questions. Use the chat box on the lower left-hand corner of your screen. Our speaker today is Mr. David Waweru. He is the founder and CEO of Word Alive Publishers based in Nairobi, Kenya. David and I go way back. I think we first met in Lit World 1998, if I'm not mistaken. Then we've seen each other at Cook Communications and several other Lit Worlds. You were in the Philippines, right? So,
twice, yes.
David and I have been very good friends. David recently wrote a book entitled Champion, and you can see that the cover of the book is he's holding in this photo. It's an inspiring account of his experience as a boxing champion, the life lessons learned through the journey. He will tell us more about the book later. And by the way, I went to Amazon.com and found David's book there, available at Amazon. Just search for Champion by David Waweru, and you can purchase a Kindle ebook edition for $3.99. $3.99. Is that correct, David? Okay, David, thank you for sharing your knowledge and expertise with us on this important topic. We're glad to have you with us. Thank you, David, and the floor is yours. I think the internet connection in Kenya, in Nairobi, is kind of choppy. Okay, thank you, Lord. Go ahead, David, start your presentation.
And I appreciate all our participants from different parts of the world. And looking forward to our interactions. The way we will go about our interactions, I've planned that at the end of the presentation, you will have an opportunity to ask any question, and so you can keep it towards the end. However, if there is any issue in between that you feel cannot wait until the end, you are free to just let me know, and we will get to interact. Now, developing an effective marketing plan is a very interesting topic for book publishers. And we will handle this in two parts. And the first part will focus on marketing your book and basically looking at the big picture. What does a marketing plan do? What a marketing plan basically does is guide two levels of our businesses. And the first level is the strategic level, and the second level is the tactical level. Basically, what the strategic level does is focus on clarifying what our vision is as a business, as a ministry, or as an organization is, and what are we looking at achieving in the very long term, and how are we doing that? Which the mission that how are we getting closer to our vision every day? And again, the marketing plan basically guides that process also by clarity. Are we getting into? Who is it that we are seeking to serve, and where are they? And a marketing plan basically helps guide our business at that broad level. On the tactical level, the marketing plan basically helps communicate the value that our book is proposing to give to the intended audiences, and it also basically guides the process of delivering that value to our audience, and that's through our choice of channels and communication messages. Overall, therefore, what the marketing plan does is to create that environment, in which our customer appreciates the benefits of doing business with us, and also our company discovers and understands how best to contribute to the customer's success. There are just a couple of processes that help and guide our organizations and businesses in trying to deliver, get the book that delivers value to our reader. And we will look at just about 5 of them. The first, the very beginning part of the marketing process is basically trying to sense, the market. And what we would basically do at this stage is to collect data, collect information about the needs of the market. What are the issues that people are grappling with, are dealing with? What are the problems that people are trying to resolve? And what are the issues that are basically dealing with on a day-to-day basis? And once we gather this intelligence of needs, and sometimes even wants, then the information would be disseminated within the organization. Remember, the marketing department is not as such a department because it cuts across all the processes within an organization. And once the marketing group collects information about the needs out there and the markets out there, then that information would be across the organization for further interrogation and discussions. And marketing will send the information to editorial, will send the information to sales, will send the information to finance, will send the information to the executive wing, management and leadership, and the whole idea is for the entire organization to debate the information collected from the market and analyze it so that then the organization can respond effectively to that intelligence gathered from the market. But again, it can shape decision making in terms of what markets shall be served, what kind of products effectively serve that market. The second process after gathering the information and analyzing the information is basically a decision making stage. And at this stage, basically, then you start shaping the kind of products that you would offer, and what kind of new offerings will you develop to respond to those needs that have been identified, from the research that we have done. The third process, the third stage within the marketing process is basically having gathered the information and having determined what kind of books and what kind of categories, what kind of titles would best meet those needs identified. Then we then get to the stage of acquiring, because remember, we began by the premise that not only in getting the issues they're talking about resolved, but they would be willing to spend their dollars or to spend their shilling to buy the product that you propose would be solving the problem. So at the customer acquisition stage, we will therefore define who are those people who would be interested in our products and would be willing to pay for them. And then we start the process of prospecting. And remember, prospecting is quite crucial because then we want to sense who those are and then get into the next stage of acquiring that customer, converting a prospect into a customer. In fact, initially, it's probably moving from the fourth level of the marketing process is basically the customer relationship management process. We've already developed the products. We've already acquired, identified who the potential customers are. And then our next stage is basically ensuring that we have a process that serves that customer very effectively and with the convenience, that would suit them. The second thing we do, obviously, at this stage is ensure that once a customer is acquired, once we have a readership base, that we will keep them happy, and by maintaining deep relationships with them. They are not just a statistic, but we develop relationships in which we understand what this stage does is to try and understand what are the likely needs of our customer, not just now but also into the future, and how well are we prepared within the organization and within our research department to ensure that we continuously, serve our customer effectively. That obviously require, continuous innovation within our product research and product development sections, ensuring that our focus, continues to be on our customer, and that we serve them with the utmost integrity, that would be expected of us as an organization. Basically, the fifth stage would we now have a customer that hopefully who is placing orders regularly with us. How we fulfill those orders is of critical importance to the customer. Where they access our products. Is it in bookstores? Is it online? Is it delivery? Door-to-door delivery? What basically are the channels available for them to receive, and how will they complete that transaction of the ordering transaction? From the time they place an order to the time they make the payment, to the time they receive the goods or access the goods. How efficient and effective is that system? because remember that if we disappoint a customer at the level of fulfilling the order, they may not be interested in a book that gets to them later than they expected, and we don't disappoint our customers. We want to ensure that the order fulfillment process is well managed. That's the marketing, the 5 steps of the marketing process. But how do we manage that entire process? And how do we direct it? And that's where the role of the marketing plan to basically direct the entire marketing process from market sensing, to identifying potential customers, converting them to customers, developing, and then of course delivering that value, through our communication and the order fulfillment process. Now, what directs that and provides both efficiency, effectiveness, and continuity into the long term is the marketing plan. And again, there are just about 5 key activities, to the marketing plan. The first one we said is gathering marketing intelligence. Second one, segmenting the market because there is no product and there is even no and there is no book that would fit everyone. It's got to be very well targeted. So, and that's the role of marketing. Of course, the third activity of new titles with the features and benefits that would effectively meet our markets and our customers. The fourth one is obviously once is developed or is in the creation stage, is communicating and about the product, about its features, about its benefits, and about the channels that they would be able to access the product through. Of course, communicating things like pricing and if there are any special promotions for that, then that will be communicated. And the fifth key activity of the marketing plan is ensuring that even as we grow our customer base, we are making them happy, and that we are building and enriching the relationships between our customer and our organization, and and with all the in-house constituencies that interact with that customer. Now, so that is the marketing plan. Probably it is how they prepare that big plan. Step number one, and we'll go, again, we'll use just about 5 steps. And step number one would be getting, basically would be an overview of the markets we serve and, the constituencies we serve and, the products we serve. And what guides this overview is the vision and mission of the organization. Because remember that the reason we exist for a big reason, and we need to ensure that whatever activities we undertake, we go to are guided by that big picture, the vision and the mission of the organization. And the books and the categories we decide to publish in are basically guided by this vision and mission. The second aspect of the big picture, the overview, is just ensuring that whatever categories and whatever products that we decide, to publish for and publish in, have a market that would realistically sustain, that book, future reprints, or even the sale of the first print run, and hopefully future reprints, and then contribute to the health of the organization. So we just need to ensure that in meeting our vision and our mission, we are doing that in a way that would make our business and our organization sustainable in the long term. The second step in preparing a business plan, identifying our target markets, and this is a very critical stage because it's not enough, for example, to say that we are publishing a book for the church. When chances are, when you don't have a very specific audience for whom you are publishing, you will not getting any market at all, or if you publish for everybody, you might end up publishing for no one at all. So it's very, very important that in your publishing program and in deciding what categories and what titles to publish, that we are basically publishing for a very, very specific audience, and that audience we look at that a little later. We have to look at the demographics. We have to look at gender. We have to look at age. We have to look at the location of this target audience. Is it urban? Is it rural? What stage of life are they at? What economic band would they be at, and all that. So we've got to zero in to very, very specific person or group of persons that we are targeting. Again, you will realize that in a publishing house, you will publish in many categories, and you may have products for children, and even among products for children, they may be for age bands 0 to 3, 4 to maybe 5 or 6, on and on and on. You may have Bible products, you may have fiction books, you may have cartoons, and other products, and you may have again products for teenagers. Or even for the elderly. What you need to analyze is among all the categories that you publish in, which categories, because some of them more or in a healthy way to your bottom line. Because remember, ultimately, your business has got to be sustainable. Your ministry has got to be sustainable if it's going to continue providing benefits and more products into the future. And you just want to ensure that you understand what's driving your economic engine as a business or as a ministry. The third step in preparing your marketing plan is that of market analysis. You just want to understand quite well what are the drivers of the industry. One, whether it's the book industry, or how society is evolving, and towards what direction is our society evolving. You need to sense what are the likely trends in the next 2 years, in the next 3 years, in the next 5 years. Because you want to ensure that the publishing house is not stuck in time, and that you are moving with the needs of your markets. And so the R&D or the mechanism you use to market intelligence and to analyze that data is very, very critical, and it needs to be ongoing, not just when you intend to develop a new product, but also in forecasting as to where the trends would be leading going into the future. The fourth step in preparing a marketing plan will be that of not just analyzing the external factors or the environment within which you're operating, but also to analyze your own publishing house. And the reason for analyzing your publishing house is because you want to understand what your strengths are. What is it that we are really, really good at, and that we can continue building on, to ensure that we continue to be relevant, to our markets. But also, what are the areas of development? What are the areas that we don't do as well? And if we worked on those areas, we would serve our markets, even better. And but we also want to understand what are the current opportunities, what are the likely opportunities, going into the future. And you do that using, what is popularly known as, the SWOT analysis. The S stands for, strengths. What are the things that we are good at and helpful for us to be able to build on. Those basically, what are our weaknesses, and those are basically internal factors. Those are things in organizations. Now, externally, looking at the environment, what are the likely opportunities, and what are the threats? And some of these threats could very well be, legislation. Or it could be new our evolving in certain ways that probably threaten secrecy and publishing. And opportunities could well be about new new trends. It could be new markets. It could be like what Align right now is considering a new opportunity in the schools market, and then get to see how your organization is positioned within the external environment, the environment that you're operating in. The fifth step, basically, that of analyzing competition. Because we don't operate in a vacuum. Your organization or your book it operates in an environment where there are other people pitching for the same markets and probably communicating a very similar message. And we need to analyze who those competitors are, organization, who those competitors are in terms of similar products, who those for the same market that we are competing for. And we want to also understand what are their strengths, because then we want to leverage our strengths to ensure that we maintain or gain market share, given our competitors' strengths. We want to look at their strengths so that we can know how to improve on our capacity as an organization, so that we can have a competitive edge. We want to understand their strengths so that we can see if we can sharpen, our offering and all that. We also want to look at their weaknesses so that we understand we can leverage our strengths against this. Get into the market is some of the things that you will need to do as an organization is to clearly define your brand and decide how it will be positioned in the marketing, in the marketplace. Do you want to position yourself probably as the company that offers products at the lowest price possible, or want to position yourself as a company that offers high value and therefore with a superior quality, and therefore asking for how would the market, how should the market view you, and how do you project yourself to the market. The second step is basically that of how you price your products. Now, pricing is very, very, very key, and especially given some markets are very price sensitive, and again depending on the segments that you've gone into. But overall, what you need to do is that whatever market segment you get into, people are always looking at accessing products at an affordable price, and of course, it has got to be products that they desire. And the sweet spot of pricing is where you are able to offer the price at the most desirable product, because then it means within your competitors, people are likely going to get your product because one, it's desirable, and it is at a price point that makes your customer happy. Placement, and this has to do with who will carry your books, and what channels will you use for distribution, and will those be bookstores? Will they be secular bookstores? Is it a mix of the two? Will the books be available online? What formats will they be available? Markets or hypermarkets or mega stores? You just need to decide which channels would optimally reach your target markets. And step number 9 is basically on is the issue of promotion, and basically being able to develop a message that communicates simply, effectively, to your markets, and how will that message be communicated, to your markets? How will you, if for example you are targeting young people, what message and how will you best communicate to them? Will it be through social media? Will it be speaking in youth forums and youth meetings? What channels shall you use to send out to people? Now, we probably will get into the second part of this, and because this will be short, after this you probably will have an opportunity to ask your questions. Now, in the second part of our presentation, we will look at the marketing specific title. And as an author, as Ramon said, my book was published at the 2000 and that's the book champion. And what in marketing your product is that you need to define that product very, very clearly. For example, what's the title? Always go to ensure that your title is crisp and communicates to your intended audience.
Excuse me, David.
The book have a subtitle. In this case, the book champion has got a subtitle which is achieving with excellence.
Excuse me, David.
Yes, Ramon.
We are now presenting a specific example of marketing plan for a major title. So we are now presenting a template. This is a template that everyone can use, or you can have your own design of what will be the marketing plan template for your organization. But these are the like you fill in the blanks See, so David is presenting an example of a marketing plan for his book, and we are going to share with you this template later on. I will send you a file for this template. Go ahead, David.
Well, thank you very much, Ramon. And I can see that we have some of our members who may be having difficulties getting my voice, and I hope we will have a steady internet connection. But thank you very much for listening on. So, like Ramon says, I'm just presenting a practical case of a marketing plan for a title, and we will be able to present this template to you after the webinar, and again you can adapt it to the needs of your company or your organization. And the title we will be looking at is a book that was published in October 2013, and I am the author, and so I have the privilege of both being a publisher and also an author, and we will use this as the template. So you need to define the title of the book and the subtitle of the book if it has any. You will need to decide what category this title suits in best. For the case of champions, it's all about bringing traits in individuals to help them win in life, and so we, the team, basically decided it best fits within our personal growth category. The names of the author. You need to know, the extent in terms of how long the book is, how many words, the word count. In this case, champion is 38,500 words. The page count is 180. You need to define the format or the trim size of your book. And in this case, our book is basically a standard size, 5.25 inches and by 8.25, and it appears in 3 formats. We so far have the soft copy, the paperback edition. We have an EPUB, and we also have a .mobi, edition. You need to have an ISBN. Now, this ISBN that I have listed here is for the paperback. Now, it's important for you to know that each format has got different ISBN, and so the ISBN that is listed here.
David, excuse me.
Yes, please.
Ibolia is asking, are you thinking of a first level estimated price, or like when you were, before you launched the book, have you decided on, you are going to discuss about the price, right? Later.
Yes.
So this is just the first part of the template, Ibolia. David will present more of the template. Okay, go ahead, David.
Absolutely. Yes, and if you
is excited.
Good. Now, Ibolia, if you remember a little earlier, we said one of the functions of the marketing process is basically at the tactical level. You are deciding what are the features of the book that we will be producing. And these are some of the features. This includes, the titling is a feature, the extent, that is how long the book is a feature, the page count, the size is a feature, and the different formats in which it will appear. So we are basically looking at the physical features of the title. Now, there's the other thing that forms the marketing plan is that you need to know what is our target release date for the title. And we selected this release date because it coincided with the Nairobi International Book Fair. And the Nairobi International Book Fair is a very good forum, to release titles, because then we have many people coming. The entire week focuses on books. and then it would minimize. Because of the budget we had for this particular title, we would not have gone to a 5-star hotel to release it. So because we didn't have that kind of budget, then we knew that the book fair provides a perfect opportunity because it lowers our costs and yet it drives the kind of guests that we want to appear in. So the release date is important, for such reasons, but also for the market segments for which we're promoting this book. And the other reason we released it during the fourth quarter of the year is because we were going to market it also in schools. And the fourth quarter is a very critical time for promoting books that are, that will be going to schools for purchase in the first quarter of the following year. Then you need to, have a book budget. You need to decide what is the price, and the book budget basically, the price is determined by a book budget, and you input all your costs, which are the direct costs. How much did you use for editorial? How much did you use for peer reviews? How much did you spend for illustrations, if there were any, design, layer and layout? And how much did you spend in, printing the book? And and how much did you spend for shipping it and clearing it if it was printed offshore? Those are basically the direct costs of the book. And then, of course, the indirect costs will be the overheads, and then the royalties paid on the book, and and those kinds of costs. So then once you feed your costs into the book budget, it will tell you what what the price is likely going to be. But then sometimes the price you get out of the book budget may be a bit debatable, because you need to subject it to, will the markets that we are targeting afford this kind of price? Or sometimes if it is the higher end market, you may very well see that the price is probably lower than similar products for targeting the same market. So beyond the book budget, you need to have internal discussions with all the departments to finally arrive at the target price. Then, of course, you need to have projected from your market sensing activities. You would have projected how many titles you think you can realistically sell within the first year. In our case, we estimated that we would be able to sell 3,000 copies of this title in the first year. But then we used the law of prudence when we went to printing, and we decided that we would only print an initial 2,000. Again, because we didn't want to hold too much stock over the whole year. We decided that we would be happier selling the initial 2,000 copies and doing a reprint in the middle. It would free up our space for warehousing. It would help in our cash flow, and we will not have to hold too much stock in our warehouse. We also projected that we would be able to sell 500 units of the digital books between the EPUB and the .mobi. And now, given our projection of how many copies we project to sell in a year, then you develop, you create your marketing budget, because you cannot spend what you really don't have, within the confines of that particular title. For our firm, we use an average 7 to 7.5% of the gross sales of the title to plow into sales, promotion, and marketing. And so for this particular title, given the projected sales, our budget was $2,028, and knowing that we have $2,028 then shapes our thinking as to what kind of launch shall we have, and that's what drove us into deciding to launch it during the Nairobi International Book Fair, because then the budget would be low, and it will also help us, to develop a few more products, with the same budget. Then another aspect of the marketing plan is just to ensure that you have a crisp message. You have a crisp, short description of your book, and this because many people don't go beyond the cover to decide whether they will read the book. And if they like the cover and the front cover, and they turn to the blurb, or if they look at your promotional pieces or the messages you send out in your website, that alone will make them decide whether they are purchasing a book or not. So you need to ensure that you have a crisp message. One, about the book, what's the core message of the book, what issue is it addressing, or what problem is it addressing, how is it addressing it, and what will be the take home, for the reader as they go through the book, or by the time they finish, they finish that book. And as you look at, Champion, it basically covers, the how, and then, again, the how it will solve the issue or address the issue that the reader, may be facing, and for the reason for which the title. Now, the second aspect is basically ensuring that the benefit to the reader is very, very clear. What is the benefit the reader will get by reading this book. In this particular title, it basically looks at the context of life's issues and challenges, and because it uses the author's experience as a boxer, and uses that as the motif, to basically show that life is always full of challenges, and they are unavoidable, and it basically helps the reader and just recognize that within each one of us is just that deposit of inner strength, and that and if we can master that inner strength, we would be able to stand against the challenges we face, whether it's at home, whether it's at school, whether it is at work, whether it's with our relationships, that we will be able to master the strength, to face these issues head on. The reader needs very, very clearly, what that benefit is. Now, and in this particular case, you can see the words that we picked up. We're talking about winning in life. We are talking about champion. We are talking about excellence. We are talking about helping people rise to a higher level of performance, regardless of the environmental setbacks around them. We are talking about planning out, planning out from where you are to getting to where you want to be. We're talking about self-belief, because mastering inner strength is just recognizing that we have something within us that will help us overcome, the issues that we are facing. But it also talks about, setting very clear goals of how do we move from where we are, to where we should be, or to where we want to be. And so we basically used those words, to help authors, to help potential readers, identify our book amongst all the other offerings that are on the world wide web. The other aspect is basically to clearly define who the target readers are. And I must say that as an author, when I started off writing this book, I probably started off with a much older age group in mind. And it was not until at the testing phase that I recognized that the message of the book was resonating much more with a much younger group than I had initially been targeting, and that helped a lot in terms of reshaping my writing and refining the various aspects of the book. And so the core audience for this book really is between the age of high schoolers all the way to people who've just left university, and the secondary readers would basically be in that person about that age group, especially who either may find themselves in transition, asking questions, whether they have the strength to go on. Maybe they're finding for new directions in life or in career. Maybe they're in challenging circumstances, and they may be much older than the core target group. And we've defined that very, very clearly. And again, how do you position, the position message for this book? What in other words, when we are promoting this book, what's the promise, that the book is offering? And we've defined that very, very clearly. Now, interestingly, we set out this as we were planning for the book, and as we were developing the book. And when we look at the demographics of our readers, it actually falls very well into these two categories of the targeted audiences. And as a matter of fact, because of refining our message to especially that target group of high schoolers, the book was approved, by the Ministry of Education for use in skills development, in high schools in Kenya, and that was very helpful, just because we had, targeted our audiences properly. Now, you need again to ensure that you pick up the aspects of your author in crafting the author bio. There are very many things you can say about your author, the author, but you need to select the aspects of the author that are most relevant, to the message of the book, and are most relevant to the audiences that you're targeting. And that's exactly what we've done there. Again, it's identifying what your main marketing strategy for the book is. Once we clarified who our target audience was, and we knew where most of that audience would be, then it was easy for us to decide on how do we best pitch in that market where most of our readers would be. And that's how the book eventually was submitted to the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, and was approved as a supplementary reader for skills, mentoring, coaching, and personal development. Again, where will your book be found when people have your message, have bought into the author, and where would your book be found? And we need to decide which channels of distribution your books will be made available to. Those are both the physical bookstores or other outlets like supermarkets, but also online presence like Amazon and other online stores, as well as your own website, the company website. And if the author has a platform, and I personally do have a platform where this book is made available, but in terms of purchase, it's directed to the company website. So you need to decide those channels. Again, very quickly, going to the detailed tactics. You basically have decided on the big issues. You decided on what kind of what markets, what market segments, what kind of a product will serve those needs, how you will make it available. Now it's just a matter of now you need to decide, how do you send out the message? How do you launch? What kind of launch will you give your product? And what are the timelines within which you need to operate? And what will you do in 2 months? What will you do within a month? What will you do in 2 weeks? What will you do on the day of the launch? For example, for us on the 3rd of October. And what will you do, after the launch? And what are the activities, and who's in charge of those activities? and what kind of budget do you allocate for each one of the activities. And finally, once you've developed your marketing plan, you will need to go back and measure, just measure, just evaluate it. Check whether it is smart. Is it specific enough? Is it something you can measure? With very clear deliverables. Is it achievable? Is it stretching? Achievable but also stretching enough? Is it reachable? And is it time bound? Are you working within a framework of timelines? And if you can tick on all those things, then you are ready to implement your marketing plan. But after you've implemented your marketing plan, you need to come back and ask yourself over the first quarter, how are we doing on our marketing plan? Are we reaching our goals? Are we hitting our targets? If yes, then what have we done well? If no, what can we improve on? And you need to review your marketing plan regularly, depending on the size of the organization. It could be quarterly for some organization. It could be half yearly, which I think is a bit ideal. Annual, evaluation of your marketing plan is probably too long to wait. Well, so thank you very much. It's your time now to ask any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. It was really very helpful. Let's open the floor to questions from our audience. We've gone through some general overview, should contain, and what are your activities, and then we went straight into presenting a specific marketing plan for a major title, like your book, Champion. So we have any questions from the audience? Rhea, thanks for these. May I ask about the sweet spot for pricing again? So where is the sweet spot for pricing?
The sweet spot for pricing basically is the convergence between affordability for your targeted audiences and the desirability of your product. So it's being able to invest in a product that your intended audience will want to spend their money on at the price point that has been suggested. And again, the pricing is both an art and a science. A science because you will need to go through your book budget and find what is the real, given all our expenses or proposed expenses and the kind of a product we are proposing, what would be the kind of a price. But you also need to look at your market and competing products and figure out whether the proposed price, will basically create the kind of demand, that will generate the sales that you expect within the first 1 year or in a continuous basis. So the sweet spot is a constant interrogation of the factors of production that gives you a product at a certain price, as well as how well your intended market is able to afford that price.
Yeah, it is a very tricky issue. Pricing is a very important matter for the publishing house, and it requires an entirely different, a separate webinar. And I think we have that webinar on pricing by Anna from Russia, Siroshenskaya, and please look at that webinar recording, and maybe you can pick up some lessons from there. Barb Bayer is asking if print on demand, how do you guess at the pricing? If printing on demand, how do you guess? Again, is it a guesswork, or as you have explained already, David, on how to price? So, considering all the factors as you mentioned.
Absolutely. Pricing should never be a matter of guesswork. What Bob, you need to do is to just visit your print providers, those who give you print on demand, and find out what the pricing, the unit pricing will be at several different levels, so that it doesn't have to be guesswork. They are real figures that you can fit into a budget.
Thank you. Iboya is asking, sometimes at the publishing house, we have troubles finding the target audience, the editor, the marketing. So David, you as a publisher, can I ask how do you discuss target audience?
Target audience. If you go back to the discussion we had about market sensing, it's a very important stage, because as a publisher, what we would we always do is to interact with our markets in very different forums. We will go to events. For example, is an issue of the youth. We will visit youth events. We will listen to the issues. We will get to understand who among the broad definition of youth is talking about those issues, where they are, what kind of a profile those they are, what kind of size is that, and I can understand what Bob is saying, because in some contexts, even in Kenya and most of Africa, sometimes it's very difficult to get data, empirical data of how big that's the audience you're targeting is. But what I would say is that it's important to work hard enough to get as much data and information as you can regarding your intended audiences. Otherwise, if you publish a book and you don't know how big the size is, and you don't know what the buying power of that market is, chances are very high that you will end up with books that are dead stock in the warehouse. So I would say that getting a market your target markets is a function not just of the department, the editors, the marketing people, the sales people. Our own channels of distribution, give us, quite a bit of information. The National Bureau of Statistics is able to give us data that we can interact with our own information. So it's very important, that as a publisher, before you set out to publish a title, you try to get empirical data on how big, on your intended target audience is likely going to be.
Thank you, David. Christine is asking, what can we expect from the author in terms of marketing his or her book? Is the publisher expected to do all the marketing efforts?
Now, a practical example, what Alive Publishers has started doing a few years ago is to commit our authors in our contract that they view themselves as part of our marketing team, because there is no better advocate of an author's ideas and an author's message than the author themselves. And we are not very keen to publish authors who complete their task at getting their book published, and then they go back and imagine that the publisher will pour in, because regardless how many dollars you spend on a product, it still can never represent the idea and the author better than the author. So, the first thing we do with an author, even before we start a contract, is to give them what we call the advanced marketing and sales information sheet, and it will help us gather information about the author's constituencies, their willingness to commit time for media interviews, their willingness to make appearances for author signings, and any other marketing events. But secondly, we also encourage our authors to create their own platforms. And those platforms would include, for example, having a website or a blog, and getting into social media and regularly interacting with their audiences, and because it helps keep the message of the book alive and move the product. So yes, we do expect that the author is part of our marketing efforts.
That's really excellent, because from the very onset, I think you're even including that in the author contract, that they should understand that they are involved in marketing. And that's really excellent. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Iboya again is asking, you have projected 3,000 copies to sell in the first year, but you only printed 2,000. And that's, again, wisdom displayed there. David did not print 3,000, you only printed 2,000. And again, you were watching your cash flow. You did not want to overcommit. You can always go to the printing press for a reprint. Yes, yeah.
Absolutely. Now, it becomes a bit tricky when the lead time for printing, if you're printing offshore and the lead time for a reprint is, 12 weeks or so, it means is that your reprint level will be higher than if you are printing locally, where your turnaround could be like, 2 weeks or so. So, what you need to watch is basically the reprint level. And what I need to say about this particular title is actually we sold over 3,000, because when we went to a reprint, and we saw that we were selling ahead of our projections, then we actually went ahead and reprinted, 2,000 copies. And within the first year of the title, we had sold, just below 4,000. So our projections were quite close. We sold more than that.
Thank you very much for that example. Larry Brook, hi Larry, is asking what % of your overall budget for a specific title should be set aside for marketing. Larry, you were not listening very carefully.
Hi, Larry. Well, Larry is asking whether he needs to take up boxing to be a good publisher. Well, good question, Larry. What you require are the disciplines of a boxer to be a good publisher, not necessarily, to be a boxer. But and those disciplines include perseverance and a lot of planning and a lot of exercise and. So if you have that, even if you're not a boxer, then you will win in the race of publishing. Now, coming back to your question on, how much our publishing house basically sets aside between 7 and 7.5%, for the major titles. But I must also say that there are certain titles we have spent more than that. If the overall return on our investment is going to be significantly high and will also influence the sales of other titles. And I could give an example of a major title, that we released a couple of years ago called the Africa Bible Commentary. And for that particular product, our marketing went all the way to about 12%. But the return we got out of that investment was more than we could ever dream about. So, I would say most of the titles will be at about 7%, maybe 5%. But every so often there will be the outlier that promises a great return and also position the company in a way that probably you don't have any other title that position it that way, and we are willing to risk a little higher than our average marketing budget.
Yes, thank you. Natalie is asking, how do you get groups to invite you to speak?
Well, Natalie, I think it's all a question of how have you positioned not just the book and the message of the book, but yourself as an author, because when you position yourself as an authority in the area that you have written in, then and you've made yourself known through the media that we've talked about, and nowadays social media is becoming very, very important. So if you have visibility and you have credibility as an author, and your message has credibility, it's meeting very, very specific needs, then you will get invitations. However, I must also say that sitting back and waiting for invitations may probably, not give you as much exposure or the number of as many invitations as you probably could get if you made yourself present. And so networking for authors becomes a very, very key thing. And the number of invitations I personally, as an author, has received is out of my out of my networks, and I honor invitations to events even where I'm not a speaker, relevant events, and in the midst of engaging people, they get to ask what I do, or they get to say they've seen my book, and we start conversations that may lead into invitations. So author presence, not just online. You need to match your online behavior with your offline behavior. So if you are very active, online and on social media, you need to be equally active offline by attending relevant events and engaging people who have the potential, basically, to send you an invitation.
We'll answer this last question from David Munier. How do you market a book in a culture where people are not good book readers?
Does David Munier come from Kenya? Because that's a major issue. There are some cultures or some areas, for whatever reason, where the book reading is not very well developed. And what I say is that we need also to see ourselves as shapers of the societies that we live in, and as publishers, and especially for those of you who may be leading publishing houses that are young and are just startups. You need to recognize the role you're playing is not one of just offering products, but one of shaping people's preferences and shaping people's behavior. And so the way you shape your messages out there, if you make books look like a good proposition, and when people realize that they can solve most of their issues, or they can find direction in life, through your books, then you're likely going to get readers out of people who are not readers. But also, being active in engaging people through book clubs, and marketing your books again effectively, because sometimes we find that if people know that there is value in your book, even if they may not have intended to buy a book, they may end up buying it and probably ending up being a reader. So marketing is important. Our shipping attitudes is very important. Encouraging groups of people, encouraging families to read. So there are many ways. When we were starting our publishing houses, many people said you cannot have a viable Christian publishing house, independent Christian publishing house. And 14 years down the line, I can say that yes, it can be difficult, but it's possible to get readers and keep expanding on the small band of readers. Start from where you are and move to where you wish to be systematically over the years.
Thank you very much, David. Thank you for your generous and gracious sharing of your skills and knowledge. And this has been a very helpful webinar. And we just want to thank you and thank everyone who participated today. And I will send you a copy of the a link to the copy of the recording, and also the test. I will share that with you later. Jeremy Taylor says, thank you, David. Thanks very much for joining us today. This webinar is brought to you by Media Associates International. We have a unique ministry of developing and nurturing national writers and publishers who are reaching their readers with quality books and articles written in their own heart language. Thank you for your prayers and your support for MAI. Let me just invite our audience to watch out for our next 2 free webinars. On March 22nd, the topic will be Building an Effective Publishing House Website with Sam Richardson as our speaker. And then April 19, we'll be engaging your readers through social media with Ida Torres. Go to our website, litworld.org, and register, and invite your friends and colleagues to benefit from our free webinars as well. So thank you. Thank you, David. Thank you for your hard work this, and thank you for your time. And thank you all for joining us. See you again next month. God bless you.
See you again. And thank you very much, Ramon. Blessings.
Yes. Jumbo and blessings.
Mabuhay.
Bye for now.
Blessings.
Mabuhay, yes.